For more than a decade the world watched William and Kate as the ideal royal couple, unshaken, untouchable, iconic. But beneath the regal smiles and public appearances something was quietly unraveling. A long-standing rumor about betrayal, once dismissed, has resurfaced with unsettling force, forcing Kate Middleton to finally confirm the rumors about Prince William and Rose Hanbury. But who is this Rose, and why can't Kate escape her? There might not be a single straight answer to these questions, but the truth is buried in the future queen's words, and it's undeniably bad. A picture of perfection, for over a decade, Prince William and Kate Middleton's marriage seemed like the epitome of a fairy tale. The public marveled at their seemingly flawless union, often dubbing them the perfect couple. The media showered them with praise, presenting their relationship as one of loyalty, grace, and deep mutual respect. Their appearances together were always met with admiration. Whether they were attending state dinners, visiting schools, or simply strolling together in the countryside, each photo captured their smiles, their perfect poise, and their seamless connection. But beyond the perfectly composed images, there was a hidden truth. The royal couple's marriage wasn't as flawless as it appeared. Over the years, observers noted subtle shifts in Kate's demeanor and Prince William's occasional detachment. The carefully orchestrated public image they had built up over time seemed to be unraveling, and no one was quite sure why. Only years later would the world realize that it had all begun with Rose Hanbury, Marchioness of Manderley, an enigmatic figure within the royal circle. With her aristocratic heritage, graceful elegance, and sophisticated charm, she quickly became a well-known face among the British elite. As a close friend of Kate and William, Rose moved effortlessly within the same circles, attending charity events, dinners, and other high-profile social functions. She was a regular presence in their lives, often seen by their sides at public outings. To outsiders, it seemed like she was just another trusted friend, a familiar face in a tight-knit, well-connected world. Yet over time something changed. Rose, once a fixture in their social life, began to fade from view. She disappeared from the public eye, no longer seen at royal engagements or social gatherings with the couple. For those who had followed her story closely, her sudden absence sparked an undeniable curiosity. What had happened? Why did she, a woman so tightly woven into the fabric of their lives, vanished so suddenly from the royal narrative? At first, the absence was subtle. She was simply not photographed alongside Kate and William as often. Then it became clear that she had been completely erased from public functions. The guest lists for royal events seemed conspicuously devoid of her name. The tabloids, who had once admired her sophistication, started to notice her absence, but the palace remained silent. This sudden disappearance sparked questions that no one dared to answer. Was this an innocent shift in social dynamics, or was something more sinister at play? The royal family, known for its tight control over its public image, refused to address the mystery, leaving the public and the press to speculate endlessly. And as the whispers grew louder, it became clear. Something had happened behind the scenes, something that no one wanted to admit, least of all the royals themselves. The first rumblings. In the spring of 2019, whispers began to ripple through the royal circles, barely noticeable at first, like a quiet storm brewing just beyond the horizon. The word was out. Kate Middleton had allegedly requested that Rose Hanbury be distanced from their inner circle. The Marchioness of Manderley, a longtime acquaintance of the couple, had once been a regular guest at Kensington Palace events, attending royal gatherings and charity galas with ease. Her sudden absence from public life, particularly from events that Kate and Prince William were attending, didn't go unnoticed. It wasn't long before rumors began to swirl, and the media jumped into action. The suggestion was subtle but clear. Could there be more to Rose's removal from the royal fold than just a simple falling out, the story slowly morphed into something far juicier, a suggestion of infidelity. Allegedly, Prince William had grown too close to the Marchines, and their relationship had crossed a line that even the most private of royal relationships could not ignore. The press was relentless, as it often is when it senses blood in the water. But the palace, keen to maintain a carefully crafted image of unity and composure, remained tight-lipped. No official statement was released, and official sources denied everything. The story should have, by all rights, faded into the background as just another baseless tabloid claim. But behind closed doors, the royal family wasn't as calm as they appeared to be in the public eye. Damage control efforts were already underway. Palace staff worked behind the scenes to handle the situation delicately, attempting to quell the growing storm before it could break into a full-blown crisis. But it wasn't long before the media, both in Britain and abroad, caught wind of the story once more. In the digital age, rumors don't fade easily. They simmer and grow, stoked by endless speculation on social media platforms. The whispers from royal insiders, though unconfirmed, began to gain traction. Were Kate and William really struggling with trust issues? Was Rose's removal merely the tip of the iceberg? As tabloids continued to tease the idea of a potential scandal, it became clear that the story wasn't going away anytime soon. And with each passing day, the question remained: what really happened behind those palace walls? Silence as a strategy. As the press began to turn its focus on the growing rift between Kate and Rose, the Duchess of Cambridge remained uncharacteristically silent. A woman known for her poised public persona, Kate was no stranger to media attention. Throughout her marriage to Prince William she had weathered her fair share of speculation. From her early relationship with the prince to her subsequent role as a mother and future queen consort. But this was different. This time she chose silence, not just in her public appearances, but in her response to the mounting rumors. There were no interviews, no statements issued to the press, no fiery denials. Unlike previous times when the palace had quickly released official responses to combat false stories, this time the silence was deafening. Some suggested it was a deliberate tactic, a strategy aimed at allowing the storm to pass without adding fuel to the fire. After all, the royal family was well versed in the art of managing scandals, and silence could often be the most effective response. But that silence sent its own message. By not acknowledging the rumors, Kate inadvertently confirmed the gravity of the situation without actually saying a word. The public, ever watchful, began to wonder if the lack of a response was the response itself. Why would a royal figure known for her composed demeanor remain quiet in the face of such damaging claims? The absence of a denial became in itself a sort of confirmation in the eyes of many. As the British press, under the watchful eye of royal advisers, moved on from the story, it was clear that the international media was not ready to let it go. The question remained unanswered, lingering in the public consciousness. What really transpired between Kate, William, and Rose? And why had a once close friendship turned so toxic so quickly? While the royal family continued its delicate dance of public appearances behind closed doors, the cracks that had begun to form in the walls of the palace were becoming harder to ignore. The coronation distraction. The 2023 coronation of King Charles Roman III was supposed to be a moment of unity for the royal family, a celebration of tradition and monarchy. Yet, for those paying close attention, the event was anything but. Rose Hanbury's reappearance at this momentous occasion stirred a tidal wave of media interest. Not only was she present, but she stood mere feet away from Kate Middleton, her estranged friend, an awkward positioning that drew eyes from every corner of the globe. As cameras flashed and the royal family stood in their regal splendor, the world watched. The smiles shared between Kate and Rose were practiced, but they lacked the warmth that once defined their friendship. Analysts and royal experts pored over every frame, speculating on the strained air that hung between the two women. The media buzzed with theories. Body language experts noted the forced tightness of Kate's smile, and some pointed out how she kept her eyes fixed forward, avoiding any direct contact with Rose. Meanwhile, Rose appeared poised, but distant, her eyes betraying no emotion. It was as if the years of silence and rumors had left an unspoken divide between them that couldn't be bridged in a single day, no matter the occasion. The juxtaposition of this forced unity against the backdrop of the coronation, an event meant to symbolize the strength of the royal family, was not lost on the public. Instead of bringing people together, the coronation highlighted the deep fractures within the royal circle, leaving the public to wonder what really lay behind the polished facade, the edited photograph. In the spring of 2024, Kate Middleton made a brief return to the public eye following a surgical procedure. During her recovery, speculation ran rampant. Why the prolonged absence? What was the nature of her surgery? It was only after months of silence that a portrait of Kate taken for Mother's Day was released to the public. A rare and eagerly anticipated glimpse of the Duchess during her time away from the spotlight. But when the photograph hit the press, it was not the image itself that captured attention. It was the details that lay within. At first, the concerns were small, subtle. The lighting seemed slightly off, the background overly smoothed. However, as more eyes examined the image, the true shock emerged. In the carefully edited photograph, one detail stood out above the rest. Kate's wedding ring was conspicuously absent. This wasn't the first time rumors about the state of her marriage had surfaced. But the missing wedding band in such a public image fueled the fires of speculation. Critics questioned whether the omission of such a significant symbol was intentional, or if it was simply a result of a poorly executed photo edit. The digital alteration itself, while a mere technical mistake, sent shock waves through both the media and the royal watchers. The absence of the ring couldn't be so easily dismissed. Was this an inadvertent oversight, or was it a silent message? For many, this photograph spoke volumes. The wedding ring, long a symbol of Kate's unity with Prince William, was now absent, and its absence became a symbol in itself, something that could not be explained away with a simple edit. The public, already filled with whispers about tensions between Kate and William, found this image to be an eerie reflection of the fractures within the royal family. While the palace quickly issued a statement to address the concerns, claiming that the photograph was simply a work of art and not an intentional representation of their relationship, the damage was done. The photo lingered in the minds of the public, a haunting reminder of what might truly be happening behind the curtains of royal life. The wedding ring, now missing from Kate's finger, became an icon in its own right, the symbol of a marriage that perhaps wasn't as secure as the world had once believed. Internet on fire. The internet was set ablaze. What started as a quiet whisper quickly spiraled into a global frenzy. Social media platforms erupted in real-time discussions with hashtags trending worldwide. For the first time in years, the public and the press alike were united by a singular, unrelenting question. What is really happening with Kate Middleton? Online forums buzzed with theories as users connected dots that seemed insignificant at first glance, but began to form a bigger picture. They pointed out patterns in the timeline of Kate's public appearances. With an eerie precision, they noted that many of her disappearances coincided with Prince William's solo engagements, an uncanny detail that only fueled the fire. TikTok, as usual, became the epicenter of speculation. Creators made viral videos pointing out perceived tensions between the couple, with some claiming to detect subtle body language cues that hinted at a deeper rift. Comment sections filled with people claiming to have known something was amiss all along, offering their theories on everything from royal obligations to possible scandals. the hashtag number sign, whereas Kate exploded across platforms, becoming a rallying cry for those seeking the truth behind her extended absences. As the royal silence continued, it was no longer interpreted as a dignified retreat from the public eye. To many it became an act of suppression, a deliberate attempt to silence the growing noise surrounding the increasingly mysterious circumstances. Rose Hanbury kept silent as well. When social media users hounded her, asking whether she knew where the princess was and why she was keeping such a low profile lately, she politely refused to comment. If she hoped her actions would dispel the rumors, she was wrong. Conspiracy theories gained even more traction, with some even suggesting that the palace was trying to cover up a scandal that could forever alter the monarchy's image. Every social media post from royal insiders or even distant relatives was now analyzed, looking for anything that might offer a hint as to what was truly going on behind the palace walls. Legal threats and public jokes. But the tides were about to shift. Amidst the online frenzy, the affair rumors went mainstream. The joke that no one expected to land on national television did just that. A late-night talk show, host known for his biting humor and unrelenting celebrity commentary, seized the opportunity for a joke that quickly crossed the line. In a mocking monologue, he casually referenced the affair between Prince William and Rose Hanbury, sparking immediate uproar. The joke made in front of a live studio audience landed with the weight of an unspoken truth. The laughter died quickly, replaced by an uneasy silence. As soon as the segment ended, the controversy began to simmer. On social media, people debated whether the host had crossed a line or whether his comment was simply an echo of what many had long suspected. The late-night host had opened Pandora's box, and there was no closing it now. Rose Hanbury's legal team, always known for their swift and unyielding approach, wasted no time in responding. Letters were dispatched to the show's producers, to the network, and to various media outlets that had rebroadcast the clip. The threat of legal action was clear. The accusations of infidelity must be retracted or face serious consequences. But by then, the damage had already been done. Rose Hanbury's name, once tucked away in aristocratic circles, was once again thrust into the spotlight. However, this time, it was not her royal connections that caught the public's attention. Her name had become synonymous with scandal. The media, who had long remained cautious about commenting on the rumors, could no longer ignore them. Every major outlet picked up the story. The next few days were filled with endless media coverage, as Hanbury's name became inextricably tied to Kate Middleton's prolonged absence. Public jokes and rumors fueled by the media's coverage made it nearly impossible for the royal family to maintain the silence they had once relied upon to control the narrative. The palace, caught in an unprecedented storm, would soon be forced to confront the whispers, the allegations, and the slowly unraveling fabric of royal unity. The statement that was never meant to be found. Weeks after the initial public stir caused by the rumors of betrayal within the royal family, something even more startling emerged. A private journal entry thought to be a reflection of Kate Middleton's personal turmoil was leaked. The authenticity of the document was immediately questioned, but for those who knew her handwriting, there was little doubt. It was unmistakably Kate's. The page was not a confession, but rather a raw purge, a desperate attempt to reconcile the weight of her emotions in the midst of relentless pressure. The words she had written did not paint the picture of the calm, controlled royal we had all come to know. Instead, they revealed a woman on the brink, grappling with betrayal at the highest level. For weeks, the British tabloids buzzed with speculation about the truth behind the allegations of Prince William's affair with Rose Hanbury. But in the quietest corner of the royal family, a deeply personal anguish simmered. And now, with the leak of the journal entry, that anguish became public. The last line of the entry sent shock, waves through the media, the royals, and the public alike. It wasn't just a statement. It was a declaration, a truth that Kate had never intended to share, at least not in such a public manner. "I married a war." The phrase, stark and raw, reverberated across the world. There it was, written in her hand, unedited, unfiltered. The very words Kate had never meant to make public were now the centerpiece of a royal scandal that had reached unprecedented proportions. The leak of this journal entry was the confirmation the public had been waiting for. The rumors that had plagued the royal family for months were no longer just whispers. They had been given a voice, and it was Kate's own. In that moment she did not just confirm the affair. She revealed the depth of her pain, the brutal reality of her marriage, and the toll that betrayal had taken on her. The carefully curated image of the royal family built over decades had crumbled with just a few words on a page. Rose Hanbury didn't react to the rumors. She kept her silence once again, hiding behind a wall of polite ignorance, perhaps hoping the palace would react before it was too late. But the gravity of what Kate had written left no room for ambiguity. It was a confession of profound hurt, not just from a wife, but from a woman who felt trapped in a gilded cage of expectations, duty, and a marriage that seemed more and more like a lie. The monarchy fractured. The immediate reaction from the palace was one of cold denial. Royal aides scrambled to dismiss the authenticity of the journal entry, labeling it a fabrication designed to bring harm to the royal family. Yet, for all the denials, no legal action was pursued. The silence was deafening, more damning than any official statement could have been. If the entry were truly a hoax, surely there would have been some legal repercussions, but there were none. The lack of a definitive rebuttal spoke volumes. The palace, it seemed, was unwilling to touch the matter directly. In the days that followed, Prince William cancelled public engagements. Kate Middleton, who had once been a near constant fixture at royal events, vanished from public view. The once charmed marriage that the world had idolized was no longer just a subject of speculation. It was a confirmed fracture in the monarchy's foundation. What followed was a seismic shift in public perception. The perfect royal couple, once the epitome of grace and unity, had been revealed as deeply fractured. The media's narrative, which had painted their union as flawless, came crashing down under the weight of the revelation. For years, the rumors about William's alleged infidelity had swirled in the background. But now, with Kate's journal entry exposed, those whispers were given a terrifying clarity. The fairy tale had ended, replaced by a far darker reality. The palace tried to maintain the facade of unity, but it was too late. The truth, no matter how much it hurt, had been confirmed. Kate Middleton, the future queen, had now publicly acknowledged the betrayal in a way no one could ignore. The monarchy had been wounded by this scandal, and the scars would never fade. As the public grappled with the revelation, the weight of Kate's final words, "I married a whore," lingered like a shadow over the royal family. The monarchy had always been a symbol of dignity and respect. But now it was forever stained by a betrayal that could never be fully erased. What remained was a monarchy fractured by exposure, a story that would be remembered for generations to come. The whispers of the past were now undeniable truths, and the world would never look at the House of Windsor the same way again. If the future queen can no longer hide the truth, what does that mean for the monarchy itself? Share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching this video with us, and catch you in the next one.